already getting a sense of the main word for today is collaboration. Shows that IPP energy producers are assisting ESCOM. Maybe that's why we have red lights today. But yeah, thank you, Janisha, again for that insightful presentation. And yeah, it's interesting to see the actual chrome numbers and manganese numbers and kind of forecast for the next 4 to 5 years. Yeah, and again, good morning to everyone. I think we're still in morning. My name is Kenneth Williams. I'm from the Bukoya Group, and it's my pleasure today to lead this panel discussion and the keynote address on logistics in South Africa. Again, good morning to our distinguished guests, esteemed colleagues and industry, and a very special welcome to our foreign delegation. Welcome to South Africa. It is a great honor to have you here and present at this pivotal keynote address on the current state and future prospects for logistics and supply chain management in this country. With significant policy changes, together with commitment from government and Transnet to partner with private sector, we stand at a crossroads. Tremendous opportunities and challenges lie ahead for Africa, but more specifically for South Africa and its dynamic and strategic importance in the region. South Africa's logistics sector is the backbone of its economy, facilitating trade and connecting businesses to global markets. In a country with a diverse landscape and economic hubs, our logistics networks are crucial for driving growth and enabling job creation. From the bustling ports of Saldanha on the west coast to Maputo on the east coast, road, rail is critical in linking the inland corridors as key industrial hubs. Our rail and road infrastructure plays a central role, shaping the nation's economic growth and GDP contribution. In facilitating the export of our critical minerals to the world's construction and stainless steel market, South Africa is positioned as a gateway in Southern Africa, and a crucial link in global trade necessitates a robust and efficient logistics solution. Our country relies heavily on the movement of goods from both within its borders and beyond. The performance of our logistics sector is a direct impact on the cost of doing business, our competitiveness on the global stage, and the everyday lives of South Africans. As a high-level overview, I just want to point out where does most of our chrome and manganese end up in terms of export. If we look at the chrome market to India, 1% of all chrome and ferrochrome exported out of South Africa lands in the ports of India. If you look at manganese, 18% of the actual manganese that is exported out of this country is taken to India. With the larger chunk in market share being with China, 84% of the chrome that runs out of our country through exports goes to China, and 61% of exported manganese is landing at Chinese ports. Today, we will explore the logistics challenges, policy shifts, and evolving market demands, and how they are reshaping the logistics landscape. We will discuss the integration of smart technologies, the impact of sustainable initiatives, and ways in which we can enhance in our industry. Our goal is to provide insights, stimulate discussions, and inspire actionable strategies that will help us navigate the challenges that impact logistics in South Africa. As we explore the key drivers in our logistics environment, let us seize the opportunity to learn from one another and to forge pathways that will drive the sector towards a future of resilience and growth. It is said that the iron road always leads to the sea. I want us to remember these words. It is said that the iron road always leads to the sea. South Africa is renowned for its abundant mineral resources, including coal, platinum, gold, but specifically for this conference, chrome and manganese. The mining sector contributes significantly to the national economy, providing employment and fostering industrial growth. The sheer volume of minerals extracted from this country necessitates a sophisticated logistics network to handle bulk transport and storage. In South Africa, key components of the logistics infrastructure are owned and mainly operated by the state. The freight rail network is owned and operated by Transnet state-owned company, which also acts as the port's landlords and supplies a large proportion of the port terminal and services provided thereof. The freight rail network in turn interconnects with the passenger rail network, which is operated by PRASA. Transnet therefore has a critically important role in South Africa's national logistics plan. As the custodian of ports, rails, pipelines, Transnet is responsible either in whole or in part for effective and efficient logistics. The logistics sector of South Africa has underperformed over the past 6 years, with decreasing exports due to operational inefficiencies and port congestion. I'm just going to put up the slide and we're going to run through some of the challenges that faces logistics in South Africa, not necessarily Transnet. So some of the challenges, obviously for industry, would be route to market. We have producers in South Africa face challenges of not having sufficient route to market, via rail, and then obviously turn to road. Some of the solution is collaboration, as we said. Collaboration with logistics service providers such as McCoy that allows for innovative solutions for Transnet to allow its customers to have route to market. One of the other challenges, which is a national problem within the rail network, is cable theft. Cable theft of Transnet's OHT causes train cancellations. In turn, it slows down the feed from the ports, leading to longer vessel waiting times and vessels sitting on anchorage. Some of the solutions that were imposed were higher security measures and the introduction of advanced security initiatives, which has yielded positive results. Some of the port bottlenecks, like port delays due to equipment shortages and terminal handling equipment, specifically at the Port of Richards Bay, has seen Transnet in collaboration with industry to have made provision for new equipment, and also the introduction of backup port facilities which decongest the port further. I'm now going to discuss the current state of road logistics in South Africa. For decades, road transport has dominated South Africa's logistics landscape. Trucks have played a critical role in moving goods between ports, cities, and across borders. This mode of transport offers flexibility, quicker point-to-point delivery, and a robust network of national roads. However, road logistics has significant challenges. Congestion and infrastructure deterioration. South Africa's major highways and arterial roads are increasingly congested, leading to delays, inefficiency, and wear and tear. Our road infrastructure requires constant maintenance and in some cases complete rehabilitation. The environmental impact. Trucks are a major contributor to carbon emissions, with heavy-duty vehicles accounting for a large portion of logistics sector's environmental footprint. South Africa, being a signatory to international climate agreements, faces pressure to reduce these emissions. Some of the safety concerns. South Africa's roads see high accident rates, and road freight is often involved in these incidents, leading to loss of life, goods, and in most cases, come at huge cost through insurance and repairs. The cost implications. While road freight provides a point-to-point convenience, its rising operational costs, particularly fuel, maintenance, and toll fees, are becoming burdensome. Now let's look at some of the roles of rail logistics. The South African rail network continues to be the backbone of our freight and passenger transport system. It has faced decline over the years. However, rail remains a viable and underutilized asset in the logistics chain. Our country's geographical landscape and long-haul routes make it ideal for rail, especially for bulk commodities. The advantages of rail logistics include cost efficiency for bulk freight. Rail is the most cost-effective solution for transporting heavy and bulk goods over long distances. It reduces the cost per ton kilometer, making it highly competitive compared to the road transport for bulk cargo. Lower environmental impact. Rail is a far greener option than road transport. It produces significantly lower emissions per ton kilometer, making it an important component of the fight against climate change and reaching South Africa's environmental targets. In terms of safety and reliability, rail transport tends to have fewer accidents than road transport, and it is susceptible to the disruptions caused to traffic congestion. The longevity of infrastructure. Rail tracks with proper maintenance have a longer lifespan than roads. This reduces the long-term infrastructure maintenance costs compared to the frequent repair and upgrading of the highways. Some of the fixable challenges that we face with rail. Despite these advantages, the rail sector in South Africa has not reached its full potential due to several challenges. Aging infrastructure, as mentioned by my colleague, much of the rail infrastructure is outdated and in need of significant investment and modernization. Capacity and efficiency issues. The rail network has further been constrained due to cable grid and rail network vandalism. Locomotive challenges within Transnet and the state-owned entity managing the bulk of South Africa's rail infrastructure have hindered the expansion of modernization of the rail services. In the panel discussion to follow, we will hear from Transnet how they are navigating this turnaround of this challenge. The need for integration. Rail and road logistics are often seen as competitors, rather than complementing each other. There is a lack of integration between the two modes, which could otherwise create a more balanced and efficient logistics system. If you look at the way forward, and we talk of collaboration and innovation, it is evident that both road and rail play vital roles in the South African logistics system. Instead of viewing them as opposition, we need to seek ways to harmonize their functions, as we all wear our SA in caps. The collaboration between road and rail has seen an upswing in the rail volumes, as road trucks bring critical metals from the mines to the nearest sidings. This in turn leads to fewer road trucks on our national roads and allows for Transnet to take over the railway to the ports. As I alluded to earlier, the iron road, the railroad, always leads to the sea, which is our ports. The future is red. A few strategic steps in the railways would be: one, investing in rail infrastructure. Government and private sector collaboration is essential to modernizing the railway and making them more efficient, reliable, and appealing to businesses. Decentralizing and improving of road freights. Road transport will remain a critical part of our logistics system, particularly for the first mile and short haul to sidings. Investments in road maintenance, improving truck safety standards, and adopting of cleaner fuel technology can help improve sustainability. Developing multimodal hubs. Creating hubs that are similar to Makoya's Highveld rail terminal, where road and rail logistics intersect, could drastically reduce the cost, improve efficiencies, and facilitate growth for both sectors. Leveraging on technology, advanced logistics systems, including the use of AI and data analytics, can help optimize planning, cargo movement, and predict maintenance needs for both road and rail. Real-time data sharing between operators could also lead to coordinated deliveries and fewer delays. If we look at the environmental and policy consideration, rail should play a pivotal role in helping South Africa meet its emission reduction. Policies that incentivize rail usage for bulk goods, such as carbon taxes, fuel levies, and levies for heavy road freight, could encourage more businesses to adopt rail as their primary mode for long-haul transport. In conclusion, the trade-off between rail and road logistics is not about choosing one over the other, but finding ways to integrate and optimize both for the good of this country. South Africa's economic prosperity depends on a fully operational logistics system that is efficient, reliable, cost-effective, and environmentally sustainable. By working together, government, industry, and stakeholders, we can build a world-class logistics infrastructure system and operators that are fit for the future, driving growth and ensuring that our exports are competitive for the global markets. Thank you. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to head straight into our panel discussion, the much anticipated panel discussion. I see all our panelists are here, and we're going to take that right into eat into some of your lunch time. So please join me in welcoming our panel. I'm going to start with the ladies first. We've got Lungile Mashele, the Energy and Infrastructure Specialist at the PIC, the Public Investment Corporation. Welcome, Lungile. Please help me in joining Mandisa Mondi, the Managing Executive on the Northeast Corridor. You'll be glad to know, if you don't know already, to our foreign delegates, all of the chrome and ferrochrome that runs by transit runs on Mandisa's channel. Welcome, Mandisa. Okay, next up, Hugo Pina. Is Hugo here? Hi, Hugo. Hugo Pina is the Chief Economist at the Minerals Council of South Africa. Welcome. The Minerals Council plays a vital role as well in the logistics in South Africa. And lastly, let me welcome the Transnet Group Commercial Officer, Mr. Bonginkosi Mabaso. Welcome, Bongi. Great. Thank you to our panel for affording us the opportunity to come to this forum. It's an inaugural conference, and we much really appreciate you guys making the time to come out and speak to the industry and a lot of the end users of this critical minerals that we export out of this country. I'm going to just get straight into it, and maybe I'll start with you, Lungile, from the PIC. And maybe, actually, in our understanding, being a rail-focused industry, one is that road transporters, they kind of benefit, if I look at it, they kind of benefit from the cost of running on a road, whereas rail, the infrastructure needs to be funded by the rail company, the railroad, they draw from themselves. So everyone in this room that drives on the road and pays toll fees, there's an added benefit for road transport because the infrastructure is being provided, making the cost of business quite reasonable for them. So can the PIC play a role in getting rail to be more competitive versus road? Obviously through the white paper on the national transport policy in terms of funding key investments and rail strategies.
Thank you very much. As was explained, my name is Lungile Mashele, Energy and Infrastructure Specialist at the Public Investment Corporation. Just a bit on the PIC, we are the largest asset manager in Africa with 2.9 trillion in assets under management. We look at unlisted as well as listed projects. This basically looks at anything that is listed JC, NSC, NYC globally, and then of course the space where I play is on the unlisted, and that is our infrastructure investments. If I look at our investments, to your point, in the transport space, I'm just going to take two, which is Samral as well as Transnet. We are subscribed to their bond issuance. Just over 20 billion rand is what the PIC has put into the transport space. And because we are an asset manager and we do like to diversify our risk, this is why we have looked at road as well as rail. However, there is a growing, or not even growing, there is a very large issue around road transport, around safety, around efficiencies. And this this is why these white papers are actually calling for moving towards rail. PIC is at the front and center of this, and we look at it from a value chain point of view. So it's not just about the rail going to the ports, as you rightfully said, but it's also about the mining.
Yeah.
And this is why we do have significant mining investments, both listed and unlisted. And I think early this year we did approve our critical mining strategy, or critical minerals mining strategy, looking at exactly what is critical, what is needed for the just transition, how can we support it as the PIC, looking at also the infrastructure to get to the port or to get to the rest of the continent, and how do we support that railroad, looking at air also. That's become a very critical thing in terms of some stranded areas that do require some air, and how do we support the airports company as well. So there is a lot of work that we have been putting in, but we obviously need private sector participation, and the private sector does need to come through forums like this and basically say, PIC, this is the need, these are the gaps, and this is the funding that we require. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for that, Lumpia. It makes perfect sense. The PIC has been involved for many years, as you say, together with the state-owned entities, and I think funding these projects, it kind of gives us a feeling of proudness to be South African. Where we collaborate together, one entity of state to the other, and with the larger vision of making South African logistics great again and growing our volumes. So yeah, thanks. I mean, the important point that I was making is that obviously, in terms of my comparison to road and rail, in terms of the tariffs, it's chalk and cheese. Transnet or rail has to recover the ROIs through the tariffs, whereas everyday road users like you and myself, through the national road agencies, provide networks to every port via the national roads. But yeah, thanks a lot for that, Lungi. I'm just gonna move over to Hugo. Let me check with Hugo on the Minerals Council. Hugo, and thank you for making time, and welcome. So obviously, Hugo, the Minerals Council plays an instrumental role in the chrome and manganese space, and basically all of the logistics chains in South Africa. Can you perhaps give us some insight, Hugo, into the Minerals Council and some of the key levers that you guys use to navigate this road to rail migration from a Minerals Council perspective?
Sure. Good afternoon. I think it is good afternoon now. So I'll just a quick background. So the Minerals Council is a member-based industry association. So we have around 70 members, and these span from the biggest mining companies in South Africa to junior and exploration mining companies. Now, as an industry association, we don't get directly involved in operational issues. I think our role is more a facilitation one, where we listen to the sort of concerns of our members and we try to unlock constraints. Now, on logistics in particular, we played a crucial role in the establishment of what we call the NLCC, the National Logistics Crisis Committee. Very much agitated that we need a crisis committee in South Africa to deal with logistics as we had with electricity. And then on particular issues, one example would be the network statement that Transnet published in March of this year. So this was a statement that sort of set the rules of engagement of how private sector participation on these major export corridors will work. So through inputs from our members, we made a substantive submission to Transnet on that draft statement, and we've had several engagements subsequent to that to try and look at some of the areas where we think that that rules of engagement can actually be improved, where there be the access fee, where there be a commitment to maintenance of infrastructure from that access fee and so on. So in a nutshell, that's sort of the role, again, very much trying to facilitate discussions and engagement between Transnet and our members. Thank you.
No, thanks Hugo. I think I'm going to reiterate what I said. I'm just thinking about it standing here when I said collaboration. I mean, if this doesn't talk collaboration to the industry, to the world, then I don't know what else does. You've got the likes of the Minerals Council, who obviously tries to play and referee as well, but we have South Africa to think about and our economy. Thank you for that, Hugo. We'll allow a few questions after we go through our panel discussion. If you guys are not hungry, we can have a Q&A session for a few questions. I'm going to move over, team, again, welcome to Mandisa, the Managing Executive of the Northeast Corridor. And yeah, Mandisa, thank you again. We've definitely seen a kind of a paradigm shift, if you want to call it that, in the performance of chrome and ferrochrome in recent times at Transnet. And as the ME, maybe you could just take us through what are the key drivers behind this? There's a lot of excitement in the industry surrounding this, so maybe you can just tell us what is driving this increase in performance.
Okay, thank you very much for the question, and good afternoon to everyone in the room. Yes, you know, I may be here as the Northeast Corridor, but from a Transnet point of view, when we deal with chrome, we look for opportunities where we can run the business across the business, the commodity across the business. So currently we do run chrome on the Northeast Corridor, and the majority of that. We also run chrome on the North Corridor, which then mainly supports the Rustenburg Way down the coal line to Richards Bay. And then on the Northeast Corridor, all the chrome from the Stillport area, you know, and then that ends up in the Wheatlands, you know, all the way to Richards Bay as well as Maputo. So I guess what is behind the improvement that we see, which is nowhere close to where it needs to be, is the fact that with the board that is focused on, you know, restoring, you know, the capacity of Transnet, that is looking at going just beyond stabilizing the business but growing the business. It then allows people like us who are running businesses to then be bold in terms of the steps that we take going forward. So on the chrome side, we looked at the challenge. You know, we acknowledge the fact that there's about 15 million tons of chrome ferrochrome demand in the country. And we were there in 2018 when we delivered about 7 million tons of that. And we have not seen a number like that before. And we've seen the impact that this has on the mining sector, on the roads, on the environment, on the Transnet itself, because Transnet employees, you know, we used to pride ourselves to say, we are an SOE that is run, you know, on commercial principles. We don't get government grants, and we're working towards getting our targets achieved so that indeed we can get the incentive bonuses. We have not seen those in years. So the fact that now we are saying, let's go good, let's retrace our footprints, deliver, you know, the maximum available, I'm comfortable to say from that 7+ million tons moved in 2018, last year we ended up at 4.8 million tons. And then this year we are going for 6.053 million tons as a low route. The industry, you know, which is part of the winning formula, the engagements, you know, through the NFCC and also through the commercial, you know, governance structures that we have in the organization, make it possible to have open conversations with industry and, you know, stating facts as they are and problem solved together where Transnet is challenged, be it in terms of procurement, then the industry comes on board to assist, and that enables better performance. But just understanding that what the industry is looking for has got a long way, because while Transnet is looking at delivering just above 6 million tons in terms of the budget, the industry made it very clear that Mandisa, by the way, I must acknowledge the co-chair there, Jono. He's the co-chair of the Chrome CRT, so we are in it together. We are about enabling a Transnet or building capacity in Transnet that is going to make a telling impact on the market, demand. So industry made it very clear, 6 point whatever number is just too low. We want you to go for 8 million tons, because that is going to make a meaningful impact in the development. Then we took that as a challenge, and we are on a journey to do exactly that. I must say that part of the winning formula beyond the industry is to strengthen the partnerships, value chains, end to end. If I start with the Maputo corridor, the journey starts in Stillport or Witbank or wherever it is, and through Transnet to the border in Romati, and then head over to Mozambican railways, and then all the way to Maputo main port. So all the stakeholders involved in this, we sit around the table, we agree on the targets for the year. And we've agreed, our targets for the financial year, Chrome and many others. And typical example, right now as I'm sitting here, we've got capacity to do at least 21 Chrome Ferroalloys trains to Maputo every week. And we have an appetite to push that to 24. Guess what is happening? On weeks when the demand was at the right level, we have delivered that number. However, the demand on the eastern side is the challenge. So we continue to say, please bring it on. We're looking for more business, and the business has not necessarily, risen to the levels that we expect. But the Maputo corridor has capacity for Chrome. If you've got Chrome, please bring it on. All right. Now, on the western limb, while we are aligned with all those stakeholders, and we are all chasing, clear targets on the eastern side, but the demand being our issue. On the western limb, exactly the same thing. We had a common deep dive session in Richards Bay with industry and partners, Transnet up to the terminals, and we've agreed that we're going to reinstate, the TVCC, which allows us to plan, and problem solve from, siding to the vessel. And that is something that we're following up on. Now, key to that is then the North Corridor, coming to party in terms of delivering its fair share. Now, let me put it this way. Looking at the past, I was looking at the terminal statistics just before, this conversation. Last year, TPT in Richards Bay received in excess of 300,000 trucks carrying them. All right? And this year, that number is around 80,000. Even if I double it and say we still have 6 months to go, it is nowhere close to the 300, which that is beginning to say we are making an impact. And that impact is mainly coming from the Russian side. Those who've been trading in that space, I think you've seen chrome trains disappearing at some stage, 2022 particularly. And now, from the average of 3 trains a week, we are up to about 11 trains a week. And the plan is to hit 14 and go beyond that. And the plan to hit 14, we are planning at 14 right now. But then the challenges, are really eating into some of our aspirations. And I'm talking about the cable theft issue that we spoke about. I will not elaborate, it was properly covered. But if we deal with that, we are likely to see the 14 trains from the Russian Vector Assembly down to Richards Bay. We are likely to see even more, which is then the ultimate number that we're gunning for is 21 trains a week. That's it. So part of this is then, again, as I said, the motivation from the employees, understanding the challenge at hand, and again, being proud to translate us. Whenever we listen to the news, Transnet is failing. I tell you, Transnet is rising from the ashes. That's where we are. And we believe that for us, and we believe that for that to be sustainable, it depends on this because we were there when it happened, and we're here now. We just need to make sure that we follow through, we work with industry and all the key parties involved, both players, and drive a better performance. But one tangible part I need to add is that everyone mentioned the issue of underinvestment in infrastructure. One thing that Transnet has done very well is to commit, I would say, to go for robust maintenance. We have a 3-year plan. It then allows us to go big in terms of our annual maintenance programs. On the Northeast Corridor, for the first time this year, we had a 10-day shut, a 15-day shut versus a 10-day shut, because of the magnitude of work we needed to do. And post that shutdown, the network velocity has improved significantly. And now we find that less manual authorizations, less speed restrictions, and the crews are excited because they know that if I take this train in Palabongo, I'm likely to come back home, to my family. No stop, start, and all of that. So we've seen some efficiency gains as well, particularly on the Maputo line. We've seen, though it's way, lower than where we need to be, but at least if you take, for example, chrome, flow from Steelport to Maputo, we are, when you end the year, we're talking cycle time of 5 hours. We have at least removed a day in that. We are in the 230s now, but it's nowhere close to design, which is, 168 hours. So those are the areas that we're focusing on, driving efficiencies, cycle time, improvements end to end, but also engaging with customers, because the rate of loading goes a long way, to add time or minimize that. So it is that collaboration, And lastly, on this one, I think this being, a conference, and I think that partnership, where it is there. Those customers that have thought about business continuity management and realize that Transnet may be committed to come fetch the commodity at the mine, but due to cable theft and all other problems, it may be impossible. They then identify sidings that are strategically positioned for them to move their product to, so that chances of getting the grain there are higher. They've seen the benefits of doing so, and it is something we really need to do. I'm sitting here at Transnet, and I want to echo the sentiments that were raised earlier. We are not in competition with road, but to decarbonize this economy, we need to make sure that road occupies its space, mine to the road points or sidings, then rail does the long haul. The challenges that we're sitting with when we have the round table with the Maputo corridor, colleagues, they tell us about the 2,000 trucks that they have at the moment. And for them, that's a serious issue. And the question is, how do we minimize it? But in doing so, we understand that we've got to do it in a sustainable manner. And yes, indeed, we're beginning to see some impact of that, because with more chrome trains, getting to the port, then it means less trucks on the long distance. But we need trucks to bring the product to the sidings. We need the sidings to really, be efficient, so that we can then minimize the cycle times. And so it goes. So, facilitator, let me get back to you. So it's a combination of those factors.
No, I think, thank you, Melissa. We've always relied on you to give us quite an in-depth explanation and strategy behind your wins. I'm calling it wins for the industry. Looking at the demand, I hear 15 million tons on this particular industry, and I think the possibilities are endless for Transnet and the industry at large. When you mentioned 21 trains, I looked at John. I was like, we need to get there, John. 21 trains a week. That will take us, well into the future. Obviously, at the end of it, supply chrome and ferrochrome into the Indian and Chinese market, because those kind of markets, they take construction and the production that comes there with this industry very seriously. China's literally in the world of their own in terms of, and way ahead in terms of technology and in terms of construction technology. On a recent trip to India in March this year, when you travel to India, it's bustling with building and construction work. It's like open heart surgery. There's construction going on and buildings coming up. Obviously, steel is the main component, and this is why we're here today, to feed the steel and save the steel market. Thank you, Mr. I think you answered one of my questions as well. My follow-on question was, how do you see partnerships with industry, with mines, with logistics service providers like Koya? You know, we've tried out a few of our projects and they work really well. And we got the product to market, and that's what it is about at the end of the day. It's about providing your customer with good to market, okay? And obviously that comes with volume. We all know that Transnet is a volume-driven business, and you need volume to drive that business. So yeah, thank you a lot. Thank you, Mandisa. And I'm just going to move over to Bonginkosi Mabaso, who's the Group Commercial Officer at Transnet. And Bongi, I have 2 or 3 questions for you. Today I think you're using 2 caps, one commercial and obviously on the manganese front as well. So Bongi, Transnet has shown significant improvement as you drive the turnaround strategy. Can you maybe give us a high-level overview on the progress of Transnet in the strategy, and maybe mention some of the initiatives being rolled out to regain this market share that we want to take back on board?
Thank you, Kenneth. Good afternoon to the delegates. First of all, I must acknowledge Tanisha Kenneth. Normally, Monisa will tell you this, when we attend these things, then someone gives a synopsis of Transnet before we speak. They normally come with a dagger and they literally
well, that's Tanisha.
So she did an amazing job without really doing a lot of finger pointing, which really sort of created a bit of a platform for us to engage meaningfully. So to your question, first of all, one must acknowledge that we've had all sorts of challenges as a business, and you've mentioned some of the issues that we've had that have really taken us down from 220 million tons that we moved via rail in 2017-18 to a low of 149 million tons in 2021-22. To Mandisa's point, the focus on our end has really been to turn around the business. We are in the process of rolling out a recovery plan, which is intended to take us back to those volumes. With the challenges still at hand, we do have challenges around cable theft, shortages of locomotives, systemic underinvestment in infrastructure. We do have a debt burden that we sit with as an organization, amongst many others. But our approach in rolling out this recovery plan has been very simple. Take it back to the basics. Number one, the focus is, it's a two-pronged approach. The first part of it being to focus on operational efficiencies. And that's how Mandisa and her team have done a stellar job in turning around the chrome space in the Northeast Corridor. It's literally to go back and say, why we have these challenges that are confronting us as an organization. Are we sure that we are absolutely using the resources that we have at our disposal? That has really gone a long way. We are seeing cycle times narrowing in many spaces. We've seen some green shoots. In coal, we've had our best performing week in 5 years this year. In iron ore, we've had our best performing week in 5 years this year. Mandisa has spoken to some of the achievements that she's made. But it's really starting to tell a story that you are looking at an organization that's turning around. From the low of 149 in 2021-22, in 2022-23, we posted figures that were better than the previous year. Far from where we are supposed to be. I'm not taking that away at all. We still have a long way to go. But a lot of it has really been bolstered by the focus on operational efficiencies. The second part to it is to focus on partnerships and collaborations. We've had to have a very honest conversation with ourselves to say some of the challenges that we face are not Transnet only problems. When you look at cable theft, for example, this is a stat that we always share. You are looking at a network of 30,000 track kilometers across the country. If you ask us to guard each and every kilometer of that, we would need a sizable amount of people to deploy on the line, which will push up the cost of course, the cost to serve. So the solutions, we've really had to accept that a lot of the solutions do not lie only with us, but through collaboration with the industries. We've now started to sort of pull in some solutions that come from industry, that are industry driven in different formats that have really now started driving the change. The last part of our recovery plan, of course, being embracing reform, which is government policy. A lot of work is going into that to say any parts of the network where we do not have exit load and volumes to run. Private sector obviously will have the necessary muscle to come in and take up those slots, and obviously at the end of the day, the intention being to enable the economy and movement of volumes across our network. So in a nutshell, that's where our focus has been. But at the core of it, and I cannot overemphasize this, it's really been about using what you have to the best possible outcome.
Absolutely. I mean, it's exciting times. We'll be seeing with the inaugural conference, Neil, the Transnet starting to break records in this week. So I think we're in the right direction with this conference. But yeah, I mean, hats off to you guys at Transnet, and you know, we understand that it's not going to be an easy road, you know, to turn around and build a strategy that actually shows results. And I think the fact that we're showing results so quickly into the new financial year, it makes the industry excited. And I sit across multiple commodity industries, and we've always said this: industry is here to support you guys, you know, through various partnerships, to collaborations. We're there to support, because if Transnet wins, industry wins. If industry wins, South Africa wins. Ultimately, the world wins. Okay. Okay. A follow-up question to you, Bongi, is you know, South Africa being a dominant source for manganese in the world, and some of obviously the largest producers and exporters of manganese being in the audience today. Can you maybe take us through some of the current plans and future plans that Transnet has to ensure that there's a sustainable route to manganese, to the manganese market?
Absolutely. I think first of all, one must look backwards and recognize the work that has been done by Transnet in collaboration with industry again. Not so long ago, South Africa was exporting 5 million tons of manganese, I'd say in 2010, 2011. Today we sit with export volumes by a rate of 60 million tons, over 200% growth. And that has been achieved with very minimal investment, by the way. It's really been through collaborative efforts where we've partnered with the likes of back of ports for offering services where we do not have muscle to invest in those areas. We've made our trains longer in terms of operational design, heavier. We've activated the likes of Saldanha. At 5 million tons, we're moving to the port of Gqeberha only. If you ask me today, there isn't a single port in South Africa that has not touched manganese. Richards Bay, everywhere we've taken manganese. The approach there was to say, whatever capacity we have, let's maximize it. Of course, it has to make commercial sense as well for the customer. There are those that we tested and did not work, the likes of Richards Bay, because of distance from the Northern Cape. But looking back, a very telling story of what the country has achieved. But looking forward, we are aware that at steady state, there is a demand reaching up to as far as 30 million tons of manganese exports in the country. Currently, as I've said, we move 16 million tons. There are plans that are afoot to increase or ramp up our capacity from 16 million tons, which is a combination of Saldanha and Gqeberha, to 22 million tons, scalable to 24 million tons. The approach there is to ramp up the port of Moha to 16 million tons. You would have picked up a lot of work has gone into that already, and ramp up the port of Saldanha from the current 5 potentially to 6 or 7 million tons over time, even up to 8. So there's all sorts of exciting things that are to come in the manganese space. What we've done also, again, keeping with the trend of collaboration, is we have been engaging industry to continue with those really small wins that we can achieve together. As we speak now, we are pursuing an increase of 1.5 million tons through improved exit load between Portazel and Seychelles, for those that have a bit of context around the Northern Cape. What that will do is, without increasing the number of trains, we can increase our payload per train by a sizable percentage, which really is a very quick win. It requires investment in rolling stock, which industry has raised their hands and have said we are willing and ready to partner. It would require obviously some minor upgrades on the line. We've added some loops in some areas. In the Mamatwan area, for example, we announced last year that we added a loop that would really enable that. And we've also done a bit of something that we've never done before. We've taken manganese to the port of East London through open truck containers. Again, what we've learned over time is that these small and marginal wins really can come together to really make a big impact in the business. So in summary, we are pursuing a mega project to ramp up from 16 to 22 through the port of Moha that we are looking to sort of commission and do an increase in Saldanha, including berthing capacity that will be increased. But while we pursue that as a medium long-term project, we continue with these small projects that can really give us 1 million tons here, 500,000 tons, and it works.
Yeah, that just, thanks for me, that goes to show, the initiatives, no matter how big and no matter how small they are, at the end of the day, they all contribute to the bottom line. So yeah, I think well done to you guys on the manganese corridor. And okay, I'm just going to ask you a general question in terms of the group. We've, in many ways, our government has taught us that in order to provide a reliable ecosystem, we need to collaborate. And to meet a common vision, we must collaborate. And as the economic heartbeat of the country, so what would Transnet like to see from industry in terms of across the ODs, if you have any input? What would Transnet like to see from industry in terms of collaboration? Be it big, okay, let's start small. Be it smaller projects that industry can collaborate with, be it the bigger projects we've got in Gile here that can assist. But what would Transnet like to see from the industry in terms of collaboration to obviously grow these volumes?
So what we would like to see, in fact, let me rephrase and say what we are seeing already is multifaceted collaborative efforts and initiatives. Just to name a few, we've entered into mutual cooperation agreements with some industries where we've partnered in bringing in technology to fight the cable theft issues that we have. Some of the industries have really come to the party and have provided state-of-the-art technologies and security solutions to counter those issues. We've also ventured into a space that ordinarily we would not have looked into, which is rolling stock ownership models with customers. Ordinarily, as a railways, we own all the rolling stock, wagons, locomotives, and we run a service for the customer. We've entered into a space where customers would come and would refurbish some of our old rolling stock, bring it back into operation, bring firms to service those particular industries and customers. We've also, as I've indicated earlier, ventured into a space where some of the customers have funded the development and operationalization of back-of-port facilities, which again is mutually beneficial for both of us, which then plugs the gap where we have capacity issues, where we have offloading, stockpiling capacity. If you look at the port of formerly PE, the capacity for stockpiling in the port would only enable the move of 5 million tons. We run very old appliances that port in the terminal, and in order to enable growth of volumes, we needed offloading and stockpiling capabilities. We currently sit with 4, if not 5, back of port operators there that have really enabled the growth from the 5 million tons to the 16 that I spoke about earlier. Really investment that comes from industry. What we'd like to see moving forward is more of those. There are some industries that we have not really jumped over the head with in terms of entering into these mutual cooperation agreements. We've also started looking at something new as well with other railway operators, private railway operators, where we are looking at where they have rolling stock, a fleet of rolling stock available, instead of, especially with the reform in the cost, instead of going in fully with competition, we are looking at going in as a partnership for them to enable, with customers of course, an integrated solution service offering to the customer. You spoke earlier, Mandisa mentioned that in some areas customers have to travel for a certain distance to get to loading sites that can really make an impact in volumes. Those are the kinds of things that we are looking at to say, bringing partners that can support the first and the last mile in order to enable sustainable and permanent growth in terms of volumes.
Okay, thank you so much for that insight. I mean, it all ties in now to the collaboration discussion, and it's great to see that it's not only in chrome and manganese that we have this collaboration. It's across the industry, together with Transnet, together with government. It's also across various commodities that run to Transnet. I see a lot of it in coal as well. So I mean, it's exciting times, and we say that let's collaborate, let's make it work. Yeah. So I mean, to the audience, I hope now, after today's keynote address and having a discussion with Transnet, we can see why I've said the iron road always leads to the sea. The rail road leads to the port. And that is what we will continue to drive as a business, we will continue to drive as a country. And we'll collaborate together, in it. I've taken up too much of your time. Niels, you'll just allow me 2 questions from the audience. I'm going to open up the platform to 2 questions from the audience. Do we have a mic, a mobile mic? Oh, you have it on the table. So just press the middle button there if I choose you to ask a question, and you can speak into the mic on the table. Any questions from the audience to the panel? Going once. Any questions to the panel? You guys really did a good job if there's no questions. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, that brings us then to the end of logistics in South Africa. I hope it was an informative session. And to my panelists, thank you very much for making the time to join us. I'd like to take a photo with the team. And yeah, we're going to break straight into lunch. Please enjoy your lunch, and we'll meet back at 2 o'clock. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.